So somebody's getting their wallet padded for whatever's going on here, and it sucks because we're suffering and they're benefiting.
From the Reaction Podcast.
I don't want to call it a rant, but you remember when I've been speaking on like some sort of, I guess, attack on men and just masculinity in general, and bringing up how I don't want to say this without sounding like a dick, but like trans people becoming trans are like being celebrated nowadays.
I was hoping this subject would not come up anytime soon.
Yeah, but it's kind of wrapped into what I was having a conversation with a friend of mine about, and how you hear some people talking about how it's going to be a civil war, right?
What, between trans and...
No, no, not between trans.
I thought they were only 0.03% of the population.
I probably should have prefaced it with this part.
Okay. It's like, damn, they're going to have an army of trans after
So, and that's not actually, that's just one part of it. But where I should have started with is, you know, there's talk in the news, whether it's mainstream, independent, among social media personalities, regular people, that there's supposed to be some sort of a civil war or some sort of a race war.
Here.
In America or whatever.
When? Soon?
And what I say to that is, it's already happening. And it's not a physical civil war, and it's not going to be a race war, but it's a war of ideas. It's a war of visions. I mention this guy all the time, Thomas Sowell, the famous Thomas Sowell. He actually wrote a book called A Conflict of Visions, and it's essentially some of the things he's talking about is what we're seeing. Whether you look at it from a political standpoint, and you know, Democrats are talking about, what Republicans are talking about, you know, the cult of leftism and conservatives, whether you look at it from a societal standpoint. And what I'm saying is it's already happening. We are seeing it. We're seeing it with the Black Lives Matter movement, the Antifa movement, naturally the anti-Trump movement, the anti-government movement, just what have you. And from a political standpoint, and this kind of relates to what some of the things that Thomas Sowell says in his book, Conflict of Visions. And one of the two main visions he speaks on that are in conflict is a society with constraints, a free society with constraints, or a totally free society without any constraints. And I feel like we are headed towards that society without any constraints. And as I mentioned before, we're seeing that precedent being set in states like Oregon with decriminalizing small amounts of marijuana. And what I say to that is, they say that it's supposed to help with usage and it's supposed to, affect the public. Because it's a public health crisis. And to me, what I see it as like a concession. Like they are saying, like, all right, we can't control you, but we just gonna allow it now. You know what I'm saying? Instead of it being consequences and repercussions to you having even just a small amount. If it's a small amount, that means it's a public health, it's a health thing and not a criminal thing. And on that note of criminals, I feel like it's like something like we're decriminalizing criminals. And I've mentioned before some of the people that you see popping up at these Black Lives Matter protests and these, the Antifa riots and specifically the Black Lives Matter protests. And most of them, if not all, some of the ones that you hear about are felons. And some of them are specific felons. Sexual like sexual offender felons. So Kyle Rittenhouse was just released from prison or from jail on $2 million bond.
Hip, hip, hooray.
Indeed. And so you hear people calling him white supremacist, but for one thing, he shot 3 white people. And
yeah, I don't think there was any evidence to support that. Somebody threw that out there and whatever. I don't even think it's
what, that he's a white supremacist?
Yeah,
that's
that was on some fringe leftist news site or something, but it never.
Exactly.
Nobody really picked that up as actually fact.
Exactly, but dig, all 3 of the people he shot were convicted felons. All 3 were convicted felons. And this was fact checked and deemed accurate by Snopes.
Well, it must be true.
Right. I know it gotta be true. They fact checked the shit out of people. But the one dude the first dude he shot and killed, Joseph Rosenbaum.
That was a child molester, wasn't
pedophile.
it? Yeah.
Pedophile. Apparently he was released from prison like recently. You know what I mean? And his fiance is now talking he had mental health problems. And like I said, we're now talking about saying that all criminals they have mental health problems instead of calling it for what it is. They're criminals. So again, pedophile, sexual predator. You know what I mean? Registered sex offender. The second guy he shot and killed, what's his name? Anthony Hubert. Rapist, convicted rapist. The third guy he shot, he didn't kill him.
Got him in the hand.
Got him in the bicep.
Oh, that's right. His shit was dangling.
It was like some of that hood side stuff. But he was a felon. You know what I mean? And it's like, we know that part of Black Lives Matter, the way they get down is they're decentralized, so they aren't just necessarily doing background checks to the people that show up at these protests. But it kind of makes sense as to why and how some of these protests get violent, because you have felons, violent felons mostly, that show up to these things. And I would be hard pressed. I'm like, the leaders of these chapters, and especially the founders, they are smart enough to know the type of people that they are attracting to the protests or whatever. And then so you go as to like recently, right? We talked about that Million MAGA March. It was a fella who got arrested for assaulting a guy. He's walking around with, some Black Lives Matter signs, anti-Trump signs. Fella named Kenneth DeBerry, registered sex offender. And you look at one of the main fellas who Black Lives Matter stand behind, which led to Kyle Rittenhouse shooting 3 of those fellas, was the Jacob Blake shooting. Wanted for a sexual offense. It's like, come on now. Like, why is that starting to be the common denominator between some of these people who are Black Lives Matter sympathists and supporters? And am I the only one seeing this? Is it a coincidence? Like, am I the only one seeing this? Am I crazy for seeing this? Am I looking at Black Lives Matter too much? And it's not even. It's like, how can you not see this? It's like they reported. It was another fella who was arrested in Milwaukee. He actually been released. I was reading this article in the Milwaukee Journey Sentinel. He's like a Black Lives Matter leader. He was arrested for sexual assault allegations, but he's been released or whatever. But again, that theme of sexual assault, sexual misconduct, criminality. Why is this popping up? And then you see some of the things that were on some states' ballots, like what was it here? Shoot, I should probably have it. Should have probably pulled up, but it was like,
I don't know what you're about to say.
I think it was like Prop 18 or some shit like that, like Prop 20, one of them things that was to try to do away with making nonviolent misdemeanors go away or something like that, and it was another measure on like Oklahoma's ballot. It was like question 805. It was something else like to that effect, to where they were, if you were convicted of a felony and you had a history of misdemeanors, that wouldn't be considered. Like, get out of here, man. A criminal is a criminal. It's a criminal. Misdemeanor to felon. Like, why are we trying to, like, we are trying to decriminalize the criminals.
Well, what if it's just a progression of things? Remember, I don't know if you remember when I was growing up, like, if you pulled the damn tag off the bottom of the mattress, that's a crime. Or if you jaywalk, that's a crime. But those things are overlooked now. So what if it's just a progression of that?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Pulling the tag off the
like
mattress
some of
and
the
jaywalking.
Things are just ignored.
That's not the same as sexual assault.
But you get what I'm saying.
I get what you're saying. It is I guess we did that with marijuana, and
in some places.
In some places. But now some places are doing hard drugs. And like I said, that progression you talking about might be just some other crimes in general. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if penalties for homicide are lessened. Like, certain homicides are lessened.
In Oregon.
It's definitely in Oregon. Now, that'll probably start in...
If you killed an officer...
That'll start in Illinois. They'll need to start that one in Illinois.
From the Reaction Podcast.
It's Thanksgiving, man. But
yeah, but we can't celebrate it.
You gotta celebrate it in secret, like the Christians used to do. You gotta
draw that fish.
You gotta draw that fish outside.
You're welcome here.
Oh man, that's funny, man.
My family's not here. I might go down to the Honda Center and get that free turkey, though.
Yeah.
They're giving out some free turkeys.
LeBron James.
I probably won't do it, actually. It's like 9 to 11, and there's going to be 10,000 cars.
Jesus Christ.
I'm not sitting in that line.
Sitting in that COVID.
Turkey ain't even that good to eat, to be honest.
I'm not a big fan of Thanksgiving food. Like, I don't necessarily
Cranberry sauce
I don't look forward to Thanksgiving food. And that's because my mom can't cook. I'm saying it. My mom cannot cook. She can make some fried chicken. Yeah. And that's usually what she makes me on Thanksgiving. She cooks a bunch of stuff, all the Thanksgiving stuff, and I'm like, Ma, I just want fried chicken because you're not that good of a cook. I'm sorry. I just gotta say it.
What does she cook that's so bad?
She's just not that good of a cook for me to.
What does she do that could be better?
Well, not burn pancakes.
How do you burn a pancake?
Because she like burnt stuff.
Oh my God.
She like her toast burnt. She like bacon burnt.
What?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
I don't know what's wrong with her. I love you, Ma. She probably gonna listen to this.
Burnt.
Oh my God.
Like them burnt ends?
I don't dig them.
Burnt usually implies bad.
Yeah. Her pancakes were never light and fluffy. I tell you what, I do like the way she cook eggs because she kind of burn them. They be brown a little bit. So I like my eggs.
Some over easies or something.
Nah, the scrambles. She
burns the scrambles.
She scramble her eggs hard. I like that. I mean, they don't be burnt, but they got a little brown in them.
I like a little crisp on them.
Her eggs ain't fluffy, not fluffy, like her pancakes. But she makes some good fried chicken. Like, she makes some really, really good fried chicken.
Yeah. I can get down with some good fried chicken.
Yep.
My grandparents, they both sides made good Thanksgiving food, but like you said, it's not something I look forward to. It's almost like something you had to do. It was like a sacrifice or something. Because all these pies and all these different gravies and different side orders and whatever, but it's not something I would go out every day. I need this. It's
Thanksgiving food. I can't wait.
I never got the cranberry sauce. Like, what the hell is that? I hate cranberry juice. I hate cranberry.
I hate my lips because they black. I hate the black keys on the piano.